What's going on, everybody? LK here, back at it again with another video, and today some more Guilty Gear for y'all. So the last Guilty Gear video I made was about Strive, using Xrd as examples, talking about the instant block and why people are so mad at what they did to instant block. And today I'm going to talk about something else that people are pretty mad about in Strive, the Gatlings. So I'm going to be going through what they are, how they work, why people are upset about it, and how I actually feel about it. Because I think after thinking about it for a while, and of course playing the beta, I played like 150 masters or so. I think the exact number is like 130, whatever. I have a lot of interesting thoughts, for lack of a better word, about the new Gatling system. If you enjoy the content on this channel, I would encourage you to please like or subscribe to the channel. It does help the channel a lot, and I would really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So first, what are Gatlings? Gatlings are Arc System Works' response to things like Magic Series, where you go from light, medium, to heavy in order. So it's like that in Guilty Gear. You go from weak to strong, and in this game it's punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, dust. So that's what it looks like with Milia. Now, of course, this is what you want to aim for: punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, dust by default, weak to strong. But there are more chains than that. So where, of course, with Magic Series, you could do like light to heavy. You could similarly do that with these Gatlings. I could do like medium to heavy if I want. But also, there are special rules by character, and not all the characters have the same Gatlings. So a quick example of this, I have Mei and I have Milia. So Mei has close slash 6H Gatling. Milia does not have that. That is my standing 5 heavy, my neutral heavy. So this brings us to the base idea of why people are so pissed off about Strive's Gatlings. It doesn't work the same as the old Guilty Gear. One of the things I've heard, and I sort of agree with this, is why fix something that's broken? So it's punch, kick, slash, heavy, slash, dust. The buttons go in order. It makes a lot of sense. But then there's also, it adds to the character's unique properties. So not all characters have the same Gatlings. Not everyone's going to use the Gatlings the same either. You're going to be chaining things different ways depending on what you want. It gives the game a type of flexibility, or at least the impression of flexibility. I will discuss that a little bit more later. So what does Strive do? Strive does something a little bit differently. They have special rules, and everything's kind of condensed. So outside of P, you can't really mash stuff. You could only go into sweeps from your light attacks. So that type of Gatling and this type of Gatling exists. Most things go into command normals, but you can't really do more than like 2 moves at a time. So for example, where I did this in GG, in Strive, you could only do something like this or something like this. You can't really do more than 2. Those are the basics. Of course, there are like jump cancelable normals. Like for the most part, at least from my current knowledge, if I had to use Mei's example, like Mei's 5K is jump cancelable just like Strive, and close slash is jump cancelable just like Strive. She specifically has a couple of jump cancels in Xrd that don't exist in Strive, but it seemed that at least across the cast, 5K and close slash were jump cancelable for everybody. So what are their goals with this? So a lot of people, and I agree, I think that Gatlings are actually easier for new players. Like you could basically mash and do some Gatlings together. Strive kind of has everything blocked out like a target combo. So when you pick a button, you have to have a lot of intent with it. So what I mean is, for example, like if you hit far slash, like far slash is the button that's supposed to work from this range. You have certain things to follow up with, and like that's it. If you're here, oh, you want to use your jab has certain things to follow up with, and that's it. As opposed to with the Gatling chart. So yeah, like this obviously makes sense, but there are going to be cases of, for example, Milia has this Gatling, nobody uses this Gatling with Milia, right? Mei also has this Gatling. Mei does use this Gatling, so it kind of trims the fat. I kind of think that's their approach. They're thinking everything in a target combo kind of gets rid of the excesses that people don't use. As far as how current Guilty Gear players feel, because a lot of them are like, man, there's so much possibilities with these Gatlings. There's so much flexibility. But the truth is, there is a lot of extra fat in there. There are a lot of stuff that people aren't using in there, that don't have to be in there, or maybe rarely gets used. So this one kind of makes sense if you think of it from that perspective. Whether or not it actually is a good thing is a whole other conversation. So another thing about the Gatlings is the return. And what do I mean? So the rule of a classic Guilty Gear character, so this is like characters like Sol, Milia, Kai, characters that have been in the game for a long time, is that they only get big combos off like close hit or specific starters. If you're hitting someone from here, you usually don't get a combo. This is very important. So in Exer, there are a lot of characters that they added down the line that it doesn't really matter where they are. They can combo you no matter what. And this is actually pretty unusual in Guilty Gear. Like, normally you're not supposed to get a combo to knockdown off that. For example, Elfelt gets one pretty easily. So the target combo kind of Gatlings they have in Strive also prevent this, unless you have meter, which is similar to Exer. Like if you have meter, 50 meter, you can convert everything, similar to Strive. But if you get a far hit, you generally can't hit confirm that into a full combo. So this is where the intersection comes in, right? So one of the things about Strive is that people say the damage is really high, which is true, but since you can't get it off far hit, since you kind of have to like be in and like have earned your offense or put them in the corner, the game, and if you've seen matches on my channel, rounds can go on for a pretty long time between neutral and how pressure is right now. It's, again, you really only get big combos in the corner or if you have meter. Besides that, you're basically getting like really small touch, not something like that exactly because you can't do that type of train, but like a really small touch, like let's say button special move or something, and doing like about this much damage, which is what classic characters in Guilty Gear tend to do already. It's mostly characters like Alpha or Raven, like characters who break the rules of what traditional Guilty Gear is, who tend to do that thing. So the last thing I want to mention about the Gatlings and why they did what they did is that in actual matches of Guilty Gear, people tend to already do this anyway. And what do I mean? So, for example, let's take Faust here, right? This is an actual string that Faust players do right now. If you mash, you get hit. You can't jump. You have to jump at FD. If you jump at FD, you're gonna be minus. It's gonna have mad plus frames, and he can RPS you. So he could create a rock paper scissors game where he either throws an item or he does a pogo or something like that. It's also something I do with my own character Milia right now. Like a bunch of my frame traps that I use don't really exceed 2 moves. Like generally, if I'm using more than 2 moves, it's because I am assuming I have hit them, so I could get a combo. A lot of my frame traps are things like this, or this, which is button special move, pretty common in Strive. Like basically the only thing you do in Strive. This, this. So a lot of my frame trap pressure structure is already like 1 button special move or button special move already. So it makes you think that they've watched a ton of matches of Guilty Gear over time and they see that, oh, like generally the way people set up frame traps and traps in general is like this. The only time you really see people go through the motions is if they already have an intent to combo. Like, let's say I did this. I mean, even in this case, I'm only doing 1 button the special move. So again, it goes back to, in real matches, people already do structures like this already. So I wanted to show one more character doing offense like this. So Chip, at least from my perspective, has 2 types of offense you have to deal about when you're blocking him. So you have this close slash, which is plus, and if you block his sweep, you have to deal with a couple of guessing games, right? But generally, so he has a mashable move, just like in Strive, you have a mashable move. I don't think you can mash his 2K in Strive though. So something like this. And you go into Rekka, and you could do the Rekka guessing game if you want. You could do Teleport, which he doesn't have in Strive anymore. I don't know what he would use to replace that with. And his other type of pressure he uses is this. So he can like throw you. You can either pressure with this, it's plus, or he can throw you. As I mentioned in the video about IB, this is a perfect example of a move that's really fast that you can't see until it's over. There's guessing games of IB and stuff like that. But it's still basically revolving around 1 move. And if you feel like it, you can do more stuff after. But again, it's mostly around 1 move or like a couple moves into special cancel, which they've done with basically everybody in Strive. So the last question is it good? Like, is it okay? I don't really have an answer for it. So like, There are definitely more examples of Gatlings I don't use. Like, for example, Milia, I don't use this Gatling ever. I really don't use it ever. I use this Gatling pretty rarely as well. I have a pretty small group of things I use specifically for very specific situations, what I'm trying to target, what I'm trying to do to the opponent, etc. I don't use her whole Gatling chart. I know I don't use her whole Gatling chart. My assumption is most people who play the game don't use their character's entire Gatling chart either. I think the main issue that comes from players is they don't have the opportunity to even try because all the characters work like this. So you just have to work within those constraints. Constraint is really the word I'm using to describe strive. Like, I think it'll end up working out, maybe. Like, Milia was not in the beta, so I have like no opinion. Like, I have no idea if my character's gonna be the same. She's the reason why I played the game. Like, Guilty Gear to me is like but she's really fun. Cutting out all the extra stuff makes people feel like there's not as much stuff to explore, which I think that's where all the anger comes from. At a glance, especially when you play for the first time, it doesn't feel like it makes the game easier. Like, it feels weird, actually. Like, with the Gatling system, you can just kind of mash and do stuff. So the more I thought about it, the more I thought the new system they're using for chains, they didn't do it because it's easier for people. They are doing it with a specific intent, kind of to like cut out the fat and make certain types of interactions happen. At a glance, I would say it's constraining the game, but of course I'd have to see long term by like playing more of the characters, etc. Okay, so that's it about the Gatlings. Hopefully that makes sense. I started thinking of it as target combos pretty early, but then the more I thought about it and the more I went back and watched some footage of like myself playing Strive, myself playing Exerd, and other people playing Exerd, old tournaments, high level people playing Guilty Gear in general, I was like, oh, this kinda makes sense, but you would have to really dig. If you just like are writing off the game, especially if you're someone who plays Guilty Gear right now and you just write off the game immediately, it's pretty easy to just say that it's shitty and just move on. But I think it's important that we understand why they're doing what they're doing, because we don't get a lot of opportunities to hear why they're doing what they're doing. So again, hopefully this all makes sense to y'all. This is kind of how I'm thinking about it. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.